Hey everyone, this is Coloring Chemist. My name is Connie and welcome back to my channel. I wanted to just record a quick video here to show you a neat pen organizational tool that I discovered on Etsy. Now, it's... Tell you what, I'll show it to you first and then we'll talk about a few of the pros and the cons. I have a lot of acrylic pens and I was starting to regret purchasing them because I wasn't using them. And I am the kind of person where if something is tucked away, I'm less likely to use it. And I think, I've heard other people say that too. The trouble is I don't have a very big desk space. And so I know they sell cases for these Toolie or similar acrylic paint pens. And I think they sell, do they sell some sort of rack? Or I think it's like a wooden thing with little slots, or maybe that's for markers. I can't remember. But none of them were really going to work for me because I just don't have that much space. And I saw this by accident on Etsy. And I got very excited because I thought the seller, and I'm just going to tilt this, it's a wooden rack. See that? And I saw pictures of this put together with paint pens in it. I thought the seller was selling the rack, but he wasn't. This is, it's a thin plywood, and it's been cut out by a laser cutter. So that's why you can see the wood kind of almost looks a little bit burnt. That's because of the laser. So what he was selling, and it wasn't that expensive, was they call them SVG files. So he was selling the SVG files to put into a digital laser cutting machine that then cuts this out. Now, of course, that means it doesn't come assembled. It doesn't. I mean, what you get is a digital file, and I will link below to the store on Etsy where you can buy this file if you're interested. So I'm going to move this back here and I will show you what it looks like before it's assembled. So you put the file in. You have to purchase the plywood, usually from, I think you can buy it from a craft center, but honestly, it's cheaper if you go to like someplace like Home Depot. And it says on the Etsy listing what kind of plywood to buy, what thickness works best, all the rest of it. And what gets cut out for each of these is two pieces like this. So, and the laser, and you can see it looks burnt. That's the flip side. But I don't know, I think it's kind of a neat look. So two pieces like this where the laser has cut holes. Now, this comes in two sizes. I think you had to buy each file separately, if I remember correctly. So this one back here is for the smaller extra fine paint pens. That's what it's meant for. The holes are smaller. The legs are slightly shorter. This size, and I'll pull one over here in a minute that I've already put together, is for the medium acrylic Toolie pens. So these are the ones with that fiber nib. So you get two plates like this, and then one solid plate gets cut. Now, I was under the impression, here's where some of the cons come in. I was under the impression that, and then legs, little legs get cut. I thought the legs would be like, what do they call it? A friction fit or a pressure fit. So I thought the little holes that get cut would be just barely big enough so that when the leg went in, it would fit really snug. And then I could just, put the bottom two layers together, put the legs in, and then put the top on. Now, I don't think I cut it out wrong. And what I did was I have a friend who works at a local maker center, and they have a laser cutter there. So I just booked some time. If you're getting somebody else to do this for you, the person selling the files would really rather that person buy the file than you buy the file and give it to that person, probably because of a proprietary kind of copyright issue. But yeah. So I thought this would be a fit, but it just falls right through. So what I've had to do to get this lovely rack is I had to take carpenter's glue or wood glue, and I glued this. So this, you can see this is actually 2 layers thick now. So there was, of course, 2 of these. I took one of these, glued it to the bottom thing. So this is now glued together. And then what I'll do is I'll take carpenter's glue or wood glue and put it on each end of this, and then get all 4 of them in place. And then I have to put something in here that's just the right height to hold this at the right height while this, right? So it has to be, you know, kind of that. I find a Kleenex box or a facial tissue box, if you have a big enough one, works. Or some books stacked in there. Just don't wood glue your books to your stand. Yeah, so I've had to do some wood gluing, which I didn't anticipate. I really did think this would be like a friction fit, and it would be good to go. So that was kind of a bummer, kind of a downside. So I've had to wait to start putting my pens away because I had to do all this gluing and then wait for the glue to set and everything else. So 2 sizes. This size with that fits the smaller pens, there are 15 holes going this way. And then there are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows. So, oh, can I do 15 times 8 in my head? Well, 15 times 4 would be 60 times 2. So there are 120 little holes in here. So this holds a lot of paint pens. And the footprint actually isn't that big. I mean, you can see my hands on the side. It's a little bit shorter than my hands. Now, the other thing was, once I put this all together, I thought, oh, darn it. You're supposed to store paint pens on their sides. But here's what you can do. Because there are holes here and then holes in the bottom plate as well, if you get the paint pens to, you know, make sure they're sitting in there properly, you can take this and turn it on its side, and they stay. They don't fall. They don't flop. So I can put it this way. And with the wood glue, it's pretty sturdy. It's pretty secure. I can put it this way. That's really close to the camera, but you know, if I have a narrower spot that I want to fit in. Now it's tall. But yeah, I can have this on my desk. My paint pens are out. I can just, you know, pull the color out that I need, and then I'll put it back when I'm done. Yeah. So you can use this for it was made for the Toolie paint pens. That's, you know, the hole sizes and everything else. But I was playing around with some other pens. These small Artistro pens, which are the same, they're that extra fine plastic nib. They fit fine. So you should be able to stir those in there. I have some Arteza white acrylic markers. I don't have any of the other colors, so I don't know if they're the same size, but those fit in the small one. And gel pens. So I've got a jelly roll here, and then I've got a Pentel dual metallic. So as long as, now the gel pens are a little wobblier, but I can turn this, and the gel pens feel a little bit more like they might just slide out and fall out. But those other paint pens that I put in there, they're sitting just fine. Now, it doesn't work for Posca. And the reason for that is just because of the proportions of the Posca. So when I try and put the Posca pen in, the pen part fits. But because the lid is so much wider, I don't know if you can see this, I'll tilt it up. Can you see how the Posca doesn't go to the bottom? There's a gap there. Which means, I mean, they'll sit in there, you know, like this. So if you're going to keep it upright on your desk like this, it would be okay. But if you went to, you know, sit it this way, so, you know, your paint pens, actually, that's not bad. The Posca kind of dangles in there a bit. Take these gel pens out. I don't know. Actually seems okay. I don't know if you can see that or not. So it sticks out further, and it's a little wibbly in there. Now that's the 1MR size. That's the 1MR. Yeah. The 1M size does not fit in here. The holes are too small. But I'm just going to move this out of the way. Bring this larger one in. So I do have one with the larger holes already put together. The 1M size will fit sort of, you know, circumference-wise, but it doesn't fit height-wise. Now, this file with the bigger holes did come with 2 leg lengths. And just tilt this up. So I've put it together with the leg length for the larger Toolie Art pens. But it did come, and they get cut, you know, it's just one big file. It did come with legs that are, can you see, just a wee bit shorter. And these legs that are a wee bit shorter, there was 4 of these, and I could have put this together with these. These shorter legs would be if you wanted to make this to hold the 3M Poscas. So if I try and put a 3M Posca in here now, you can see it's almost long enough, but not quite, because I used the longer legs. Had I put this together with the shorter legs, it would have been okay for these Poscas. Now, all I have is black and white Poscas. I don't have any other colors, and I have lots of colors of the Toolie Art. So I put this together with the longer legs. That's why I did that. So these medium Toolie Art, they fit in here just perfect. They go all the way down to the bottom, and the bottoms of the pen sit in those little holes at the bottom, which means when I tilt the rack, they stay. So I thought that was kind of a neat find. And I like the look of them. I mean, they look burnt because they are, right? A laser is hot. And when it was cutting the wood, it burns the wood. And the picture that the fellow showed on his Etsy store did show it with kind of this burnt look. Now, if you didn't like this look, you could probably get a darker plywood to start. I think I used maple. I think that's what this is. So it was quite light to begin with. But maybe if you had a darker finished plywood to start, you know, you could, you maybe wouldn't notice the burnt as much. I don't know. I kind of like it. Kind of looks aged, I think. I will also say, when you first get these home, they will smell like burnt wood. And it's quite strong. I've had them in my basement now for, I'm going to say about 2 weeks. And I can still smell it a little bit, but not nearly as much as I could before. So it will eventually, the smell will eventually go away. But just be forewarned, because, I mean, you're burning wood. That's how all these cuts are made with a laser. So, yeah, I have, like I say, all these acrylic paint pens that I wasn't using. I have the color sets. So these are the empty boxes, of course, for the ones that I have in the rack here. But the assorted yellow browns, reds and pinks, blues and purples, greens, and then grays and black and white. This is the extra fine. And I took all of those. There's 22 in each of those sets. And, except those. All of them, this is all 5 of those boxes. All here. Probably, I don't know, probably takes up maybe slightly more room than stacking the boxes would. But they're out. They're in the open. I was starting to really regret buying them because I just wasn't using them. You know, I would, like I say, I tend to tuck things away because I don't have a lot of space. I would forget that they were there, and then I wouldn't use them. So I'm really looking forward to having these out. I'm going to take, I also have the medium tip for the color sets. So I'm going to put those in the bigger rack. Now the bigger rack has fewer holes, right? We decided this had 120, right? The bigger rack, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this only holds 77. So I did cut more than one. And once you have the file, you can cut as many of these as you want. I mean, as long as you have enough wood. And I think I mentioned before, I went to Home Depot and got a 4x8, 4 foot by 8 foot sheet of this maple, I think it was 3/8 inch plywood or something like that. And then the cutting machine needed it to be, I forget, it was like 19 inches by 21 inches or something like that. So I just got my husband to cut the plywood, the great big sheet of plywood, down to smaller pieces. And then I took them in to be cut. I think if you go to a craft store, you can buy those sheets of plywood already sort of pre-cut to those smaller sizes. But I don't know, this was more cost effective. So I did it that way. But it also means that you have to have a husband who has a saw and who knows how to cut things. Or you could do it yourself. So yeah, so 77, I actually ended up making, I cut out 3 of these and 3 of these. Just because I thought, well, I have all this wood, the number of, there was no charge for me to use the machine because we have this makerspace here locally, and it's got all these really neat machines, and they're just there for people to use. You just sign up. I think there was some sort of grant money that went towards that. So yeah, it didn't matter. It was just time, right, to wait for these to be cut. So yeah, I bought that great big sheet of plywood. So I cut out 3 of the smaller hold ones, 3 of the larger hold ones, and we'll see how many I end up using. I might have some spares, you know. I also thought maybe too, if something went wrong with one of the cuttings, then I would have a spare. So anyway, I just wanted to put this out quick. I know, I need to get some, I think it's been a week. I need to get a video out to you guys. And I do have one in the works on dyes versus pigments, pigments versus dyes. And I'm just finishing off the research, and I should be filming that, hopefully getting it out to you guys soon. But I thought this was just a little tide you over video. Oh, I did forget to mention, so we've got this one with the larger holes. It also does fit this style. So this is the Artex acrylic markers, the ones with the brush that are almost more gouache-like, those ones that you don't have to pump. So this rack with the larger holes fits those quite nicely. It also fits, if you have the Poscas that have the brush tip, I don't know if you've seen those before, but it's got an actual bristle brush tip. It will fit those. And if you have these kinds of acrylic markers, again, this is Artex, so similar, the non-pumping ones, you know, they've got the brush. These are longer, and they're a little more, they fit in there a little more loosely, but they do fit the larger holes. The one thing I don't have yet is I don't have, but they are in order, what did they call them? The Simp Tap? I think. The Artex. Again, they're acrylic paint pens, but they have a little pump on the end. I'm waiting to get those to see if those will fit in here, and if they do, I will let you know. But yeah, those, so if you've got these kinds of pens, and if I tilt this, all 3 of those stay. Like I say, this one is a little more wibbly, but it still stays in there. As long as it can catch the hole, the little lip at the base there, then yeah, they will be fine. Woo! If you knock it though, these ones apparently fall out, but the other ones didn't. So I just wanted to let you know that those 3 pens will work in here as well. Thanks so much for watching, folks. I hope everyone is well. I hope everyone is safe. I hope everyone is enjoying their coloring. And if you like what you see, consider, you know, clicking that like button, subscribing, clicking the notification bell, or maybe letting friends know that you found a neat YouTube channel and maybe they might like it too. All right. Till next time, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.